People in the UK and all over Europe are gathering in large groups to protest the ongoing lockdowns and other coronavirus restrictions. Joining us with the latest on this story, British journalist and political analyst Jonathan Sacerdoti. And our panelists are here to react as well. We welcome Jack Kingston, former Georgia congressman. Also Jennifer Kearns, host of the All-American Radio and contributor for the Daily Caller and The Hill. Great to see everyone here. Jonathan, I'm very interested in your report because, quite frankly, we haven't seen much international coverage of these protests coming about following new lockdowns in place. Can you tell us what you're seeing?
Well, here in the UK, the lockdowns are starting to be lifted, but for some people, that's just not quick enough. And remember, over the last year, we've really lived with quite some restrictions on our freedoms. People never expected to live with these sorts of rules governing when they could go out, how many people they could see at a time, whether they could stay in their partner's apartment or house if they didn't live with them, even how many of them could worship together. So while those restrictions are being lifted, it's just not quick enough for some people. And with the rapid rollout of the vaccines here, the falling numbers of infections and deaths, there are people who think that the lockdowns should be lifted completely and much faster.
You know, what's interesting is that we're seeing that in the United States, too. A lot of people saying, taking issue with the CDC's COVID guidance when it comes to mask wearing. They're saying, come on, you know, if you get the vaccine, shouldn't you be able to do much, much more? Jennifer, you know, we've covered protests that we'd seen throughout these lockdown measures in the United States. Were you surprised by what's happening in Europe right now?
No, I'm not really. Look, they've been in lockdown in Europe for over a year now. Even the most liberal cities in the United States of America, Los Angeles, and we just got an announcement here over the wire that New York City is well on its way to reopening. The European countries have been suffering greatly under these lockdowns. In fact, at times they had more stringent lockdowns than we did here in the United States, often only able to leave their apartments for food and medicine, far beyond what some of the American cities had put forth in terms of lockdowns. But what you're seeing here is that the human spirit cannot be locked down for so long. And I think that the Europeans are starting to get a little bit of that American enthusiasm in them in order to preserve and regain their liberties.
Yeah, Jack Kingston, what do you think about when you see these crowds gather? Again, we covered it here in the United States when it happened.
I have to tell Jonathan, I think there might be hope. I have almost given up on Europeans and their passion for freedom because it seems like they're always willing to protest when it comes to getting more benefits, more paid leave, for example. But when it comes to just wanting raw freedom, they don't seem to be the first ones out on the street. But Jonathan, they're out there, and I'm very, very happy about it. I commute between Washington, D.C., South Carolina, and Georgia, and I can tell you it's night and day. Washington, D.C., and Virginia are nanny state type regimes where you're not allowed to do anything. But when I go to Savannah, Georgia, or Beaufort, South Carolina, Bluffton, South Carolina, people are in restaurants and they are not wearing masks when they walk down the street. It's just totally different.
So different.
Go for it.
Yeah. Hey, Jonathan, I got to ask, what's been the response? Has Boris Johnson responded at all?
Well, listen, I think it's important to say, while we are freedom-loving people here in the UK, most people have supported the lockdowns and the restrictions on their freedoms, and that's because they've seen them as temporary and as something that's in their best interest to get us through what is a horrific worldwide pandemic, a disease that can kill people and is easily communicated through our very breath. So I think people have been willing to obey those rules, but where the frustration lies is when they don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. And so people have been keen to get going. But, you know, we've had our haircuts now. We're out eating outdoors again, drinking outdoors. We're allowed a bit more movement than we were. And it's no surprise that that has only given people a taste for what they were missing out on. But that's why Boris Johnson has reacted by saying that the vaccine rollout will continue at a pace. And we're doing very well here with the vaccine rollout in the UK. We managed to order vaccines very early compared to the rest of Europe, thanks to leaving the EU with Brexit. And also he's announced that there will be an antivirals task force, which will be looking into drugs that could be sent to people in their home when they test positive and could help them avoid serious infection and hospital later on.
That is the latest from London with Jonathan Sacerdoti. Jonathan, thank you for that report. We do appreciate it. And our panelists, Jack and Jennifer, please stick around. We've got a lot more coming up here on National Report.